Hey, what's up? Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Morning Scone presented by Boudreaux's. Y'all check them out. Hope y'all having a good day so far. You know what? Should probably plug in this microphone. That's probably going to be better. Let's see. Hope y'all having a good morning. AFR. Morning. AFR. Good stuff. Hope y'all having a good morning. Morning Scone presented by Boudreaux's. Y'all check it out. I want to talk about Drew Brees' MVP odds. Arkansas wins Game 1 of the College World Series Championship Series. And Dave Aranda yesterday was on OTB with Jordy and Buzzy, who was in for T-Bob, and said some interesting things. One thing in particular, which I did talk about yesterday on AFR, about the cornerback position. So I want to talk about all that today. As always, get your comments in, get your questions in. We'll get through those. Cole, good morning. Jonathan, Val, David Barrick. Good morning, y'all. Thanks for watching. As always, appreciate everybody for hopping aboard. If you would, hit the share button and all that stuff. That's very helpful. If you would share, like, all that good stuff helps. So, all right, let's get started here. Dave Aranda on OTB. Do this real quick because I did talk about it, as I mentioned yesterday on AFR, for those that might have missed it. But guys had Aranda on OTB, and I mean, anytime the defensive coordinator, who's a mild-mannered guy, speaks, we'll talk about it. And there was a lot of coach speaking there, but there was one thing in particular. I always look for sort of newsy items, and the one thing is when they said, "Hey, who starts opposite Greedy at corner?" Without really blinking, he said, Kerry Vincent is one of them. And then he talked about Kerry Vincent. He went on to talk about John Trey Kirkland and Kelvin Joseph. And he talked about Terrence Alexander, the grad transfer, coming in as well. Did not mention Manny Netherly. To me, that's one of those things where it's inherent, right? Like, I think we all do that. If you say, "Hey, man, what's if you think steak, what do you think?" And if you go, "Man," like you go, 45-day dry ribeye from Rufino's. That tells you what's on your mind, right? I mean, usually what's on your mind, what's top of mind, is there for a reason. So, Kerry Vincent was an interesting case last year, man, because Kerry, he's got his dad, of course, played at A&M, was drafted by the Saints, NFL bloodlines. Kerry Vincent was a track guy, and they thought he was going to start in the nickel last year and play a lot. He started 3 of his first 4 games, and by his own admission got complacent and just didn't see the field very much after that. So I think it probably humbled him, refocused him, at least by his own admission it did. And that's a guy you'd expect big things from. So I think Kerry Vincent has the inside track to start opposite Greedy. And then probably Terrence Alexander, the grad transfer, you see work into the slot there. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens whenever they get to fall camp. Usually there's so much certainty at cornerback for LSU. That's not one of the questions. It's really why I think this year for LSU football is so fascinating. I know people were talking about the schedule, and people are excited about Joe Burrow and all this, and I get it. New offensive coordinator again, and I understand all that. But when you've watched LSU football for these last 15 years or so, you're sort of conditioned to a certain style of play. And LSU's always had amazing defensive backs, with one exception really in 2013 where they got bit by early entries to the draft and they were just playing some young guys. One of whom was Tre'Davious White, who ended up being a first-round draft pick, who was just young. And they've always had great running backs. I know we've talked about that before, but like LSU, you've never wondered, okay, like, are they going to be good at running back? Or who's going to be the next guy? There's always either been an incumbent or the next like stud running back just in the pipeline that you knew was ready to step up. And this year, those two positions are a question mark, which makes this year so interesting to me anyway for LSU football. Just the uncertainty at two positions that for so long have just been on each side of the ball, really where LSU has been so dominant. So, to me, that I find it interesting. Now, Blake McGraw said free Christian Fulton, and if that happens, then this becomes easy because, look, man, I've talked to enough guys on staff, like on the record and off, they'll flat out tell you that they believe Christian Fulton is better than Greedy Williams. And that may sound absurd, I know, because Greedy's about to be the number 1 corner in the draft, but style, physicality, remember, Fulton wasn't going to redshirt as a freshman. It's, Greedy did. Fulton he hadn't played in the full year, but he may well be the best cornerback on the roster. And if somehow they manage to get Fulton eligible and he's practicing and staying in shape and all that stuff, if they get him eligible and he starts opposite Greedy, then all of a sudden a giant question mark becomes a strength, because then you could take guys like Kerry Vincent and put him in the nickel, and then you could have Terrence Alexander and have him as your dime. I mean, it's just, you see what I'm saying? It's like you kick everyone down, and all of a sudden you're stronger on your front line, and your depth becomes better. So, I mean, that would be massive if it happens. I haven't heard any of the LSU coaches like counting on that or saying that they assume it's going to happen. So if that's the case, it's hard to operate under that assumption. So, Stephen Miller, good morning. Chuck Sanchez, good morning. David Barrick, what's going on? Aaron Hawkins, what's up? Shot of morning scone. I needed it today, bro. Wake me up a little bit. Michael Moscono, what's up, brah? Scott, hey Scott, do you say Bork or Borke? Write in here and let me know. Stan Levy, what's good, y'all? Chris Tremblay, Brandon Browning, what's up, Brandon Browning? Deadline date. Steven said, what's the deadline date for NCAA to make a ruling on Fulton? There is no deadline date, so it's an important distinction here, because I think a lot of people got confused with Ross Dellinger's piece in SI. The case is closed. Fulton, they had a judgment. He had his appeal. It was denied. As far as the NCAA is concerned, the case is closed. It's not open any longer. Nobody's investigating anything. The Fulton family has hired an attorney to bring a case to try to get Christian Fulton eligible, and to try to convince the NCAA to reopen the case and re-examine his eligibility. The reason that Ross did the digging was because we found out sort of last spring why, or around February, why Fulton had been suspended. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then Ross kept digging and did a much deeper exploratory piece in SI, but it doesn't mean that the case is very much closed. The NCAA would have to reopen the case, consider new evidence from the attorney, and decide if they wanted to reduce Christian Fulton's suspension. So, that, I mean, it's there is no deadline. I mean, the NCAA can completely ignore the Fulton attorney or LSU compliance or whoever is trying to make a case for Christian Fulton. Like, so, it's. That's why. I mean, that's why people think it doesn't look good. So, Darren, what's up? Dale Crochet, good morning. Cole, don't know why my post. Cole, I didn't see your post show up twice, so no sweat, bro. And if they do, it happens. Let's see. Cole said, "You think Tate Provins could be used like McCaffrey at Stanford, out of the backfield, motion slot?" Honestly, man, he wasn't super impressive in spring, and I don't. That's not to say that he'll never be a good back, and not to say he won't be a good back this year. But I mean, let's not forget, Leonard Fournette didn't start in his freshman year until that Florida game, like in late October. It's so rare that a guy comes on campus as a true freshman and is a dude at running back. It just. That hasn't been the norm at LSU, and it's just McCaffrey didn't do that as a true freshman. So, do I think that maybe eventually this year? No, I don't. They got to figure out running back. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably their best bet, and then they supplement. If Brissett can give them carries, and if the freshmen can work in and provide some depth and get some experience, be better for in the future. But I don't think Provins is McCaffrey. Stephen Miller said Clydro and Curry. I tell you what, man. Every time I talk about Clyde, I come across as a gigantic homer, just because I get it. He went to Catholic, and I got to see him a lot, but I think LSU fans got to see it. You saw the flash last year. He can make dudes miss, and is a special talent. I just wonder, like, can he be a 20 carry a game guy in the SEC? And I don't know. I'm gonna have to see that to believe it. He's special. You give him 8 to 10 carries. I think he can be pretty dynamic. Can he carry it 20 times in an SEC game? I don't know. Excuse me. Matt, you think Terrace Marshall eventually replaced Jefferson as one of the starting receivers? That's an interesting question because I don't even know that I would necessarily say that Jefferson is a starter as of right now. I think the only given right now is Justin Giles or Jonathan Giles. Excuse me, Justin Jefferson online is Jonathan Giles. I think everything else is up for grabs, and I think they're going to rotate a ton of receivers. So who starts, I think, is kind of irrelevant. I think it's ultimately who gets reps and makes the most of it. I think Marshall's impressive, and the kid out of Rummel is the one that, and forgive me, his name is slipping again. It's 7:40, and I'm out of football shape right now. But kid out of Rummel is another one I think is from everything I've heard and seen is that he's polished, and I don't know. I haven't really had or heard people around LSU talk about a receiver with that polish coming out of high school since Odell. And don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing him to Odell, but understand Odell went to Newman and they ran the route tree and he was technically very sound. It's why Odell got on the field as a freshman in 2011. I think there's a really good chance that the kid out of Rummel as well plays a really big role as a freshman. Scott, I don't see Brissett will be a starter. Seen him practice straight up, fumble. Hey, the straight up runs thing, I mean, look, Adrian Peterson runs straight up, so I didn't get over that. The fumble, there was the first, Jamar Chase, thank you, Jamar Chase. The fumble, yeah, that's not a good look, but it was one carry. I mean, I'm with you that it was pretty obvious watching him run next to Geis and Fournette that he was not the same type of back. I just don't know what other options you have this year. It's going to be interesting. Let me get to a couple of things here. Derek Taylor, good morning. Michael Costello, good morning. Zach Berry, good morning. Hey, Derek, by the way, I read your message this morning. I'm going to reply to you after I'm done here. But thank you for sending that. Hey, Pete, good morning. Pete Giardino, good morning. A couple of things I want to talk about. If you got more comments, questions, fire away. I'll get to them. Drew Brees, 15-1 odds to win the NFL MVP. That's fourth best behind Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Carson Wentz. Hard to see. I mean, I guess in part I get it because Wentz was probably going to win the MVP last year, but before the injury. But at the same time, coming off that knee injury, you don't really know what to expect, man. So I'm a little surprised to see Wentz there. We talked about yesterday. Wentz was third in the NFL 100. The top 100 players voted by the players, so which I think is why people maybe put a little more credence in it. But but for me, I guess with the only reason I bring that up, and I'm not, I guess not super huge on if individual awards matter or anything like that. Like we've talked about this NFL 100 thing because, the Saints have six guys on the list, and 2 years ago they had 2 guys on the list. Like it's evident why the Saints are a better football team right now. It's got better players, so that's not altogether surprising. But I bring up MVP because it's like the one thing Brees hasn't done. Like he's going to have the passing record, he's going to have the touchdown record, he's won a Super Bowl, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot guy, completion percentage, the 5,000-yard seasons, I mean all that stuff. He's never won an MVP. In the year that he should have won it back in 2011, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers went 15-1, and Rodgers won it. So. It's hard to look around and go, okay, Matt Ryan's won an MVP, Cam Newton's won an MVP. How is it that Drew Brees has never won an MVP? When you talk about top 5, top 10 quarterbacks of all time, which wherever you want to slot him in there, the fact that he hasn't won an MVP is just it's odd. Like it's an oddity, and I'd love to see that changed for him. I'd love to see Drew Brees win an MVP before it's over. So see if maybe this year could be the year. Let's see. Joey DiStefano, good morning. One more thing. We get to more of your questions and comments if you want to fire away. Comments keep recycling here. My apologies. Arkansas won game 1 of the championship series last night. Congrats to the Hogs. They're a win away. They beat Luke Heimlich. What was so odd about that game, though? 2 things. It was a 4-1 final, and both teams had so much offense, but obviously yesterday you had 2 aces going with Blaine Knight and Luke Heimlich. Arkansas scored 4 runs in the 5th, so they scored all of their offense in 1 inning. And in that inning, Arkansas got 2 walks, 2 hit batsmen, and Oregon State committed an error. It was Oregon State imploding, which cost them game one. Which is now in fair, like you got to mention the other side. Playing night was fantastic, as good as we've seen that Oregon State lineup be, as much as they can mash 1 through 9. They were handcuffed. They scored one run or second inning, I think, for the second inning, and that was it. So, man, Arkansas is in a great spot. You got Casey Murphy going tonight. You still got Tyler Campbell. If there's one thing I would look for tonight, if they're same thing that Kevin O'Sullivan did a year ago. If you remember, Jackson Coar was supposed to be his Game 3 starter for Florida last year against LSU. And late in the game, when Florida had a lead, remember Kramer got gunned at the plate, they had brought Jackson Coar in, who was going to be the Game 3 starter, and said, you know what, we're not waiting until Game 3, we're winning it now. So O'Sullivan went and got his best arm available, put him in the game at the end of Game 2 to snuff out that threat. And if you remember, Dykeman hit the ground ball to first. They came home, they got Kramer at the plate. But I would love to see what Dave Van Horn does tonight if he's in a similar situation. Let's say Casey Murphy's pitching well. He's got to go to his pen. Is Tyler Campbell available out of the pen? A guy who's really emerged as a strong number 3 starter. Do you go get your best arm and say, let's not risk a Game 3 where a ball can bounce funny or their offense gets hot? Let's just go win it tonight. I'm interested to see what this is Dave Van Horn's moment tonight. This is his moment. So we'll see how it goes. It's interesting, and Arkansas is a great team. And after last night, I mean, they deserve to win. They're in a great spot to win. We'll see if they can get it done. All right, let's see. Any more questions? While I wait on your questions, a couple things let me tell you all about. Of course, Boudreaux's, the Bloody Mary mix, the Margarita mix, great local company. Y'all check them out. Places you can get it around the greater Baton Rouge area. Alexander's, Calandro's, Calvin's, Mid-City Wine and Craft. If you're down in Homa, you can get it at Canada's, all the Canada's locations. So we appreciate all those great local grocers and stores for supporting great local companies. Like Boudreaux's. Y'all check them out on all their social media. If you're watching this on in the headline there in the title, you'll see the link either on Facebook or on Twitter. However you're watching this, I appreciate you very much. So fire away and check out our friends at Boudreaux's. Fantastic stuff. And when you try it, do me a favor, shoot me if you think about it, try it. Shoot me a message. Just let me know your thoughts on it. Like I said, I don't do Bloody Marys. But I've had the margarita mix. I have it after you open it. You keep it in the fridge. I have an open one in my fridge right now. I mean, it's fantastic. If I'm in the mood for something, kind of like something sweet. If I want a margarita, it's great stuff, man. So check it out, Boudreaux's. We appreciate it. And by the way, wherever you shop, if they don't carry it, go to the manager and demand that they do. Let's see. Get some more y'all stuff here. Let's see. Oh, and the other thing, a Magical Beer Tour. Me, Jay Ducote, Lee Feinswag. This Saturday, it's going to be a lot of fun, y'all. So we've got a bus. We're going to leave from Tin Roof Brewery in Baton Rouge, Tin Roof Brewery, Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll take the bus down to New Orleans. We're going to hit 4 breweries. Your package includes 2 beers per brewery, so 8 beers, the bus tour, and a commemorative glass. You're welcome to buy more beers at the brewery if you want. There will be food available for purchase at some of the stops also. We're going to go to Wayward Owl, Port Orleans, which is Zach Street's brewery, NOLA, and then Urban South. So we're going to hit those 4, and we'll get on the bus. We'll head back home. Should be a really fun day. I'll be there. Lee Feinswag, Jay Ducote. There are, I don't know how many spots. I think we're maybe around 10 to 12 spots left. So if you want to come, we're capping it at 50, so small crowd. We didn't want it to be too big, overwhelming. We only wanted to take 1 bus. So if you're interested, come on. The link, the tickets are on Eventbrite, and the link is pinned on my page, my Facebook page, and then also on my Twitter. So y'all check it out, please. All right, a couple more comments before we get on out of here. Let y'all get to your day. Derek Taylor, do you think the Hogs have a chance to wrap it up, especially with the pitcher? Casey Murphy's awesome. Absolutely, they have a chance to wrap it up tonight. And they'll face Bryce Femmel, I'm almost certain, from Oregon State, who's really good. My guess is really tired as well right now. I would think absolutely Arkansas has a great chance to wrap it up tonight. Let's see. certainly can't give Oregon State breathing room with their offense. We've seen it. Oregon State's hit their way out of the losers bracket. They can do it again. But Casey Murphy on the bump tonight is a good matchup for Arkansas. Let's see. Joe Amato, thought I heard sports reporters say during the season that Arkansas baseball team wasn't that good as they expected LSU to sweep the 3-game series. Well, a couple things, Joe. I don't know who you're talking about. Arkansas was fantastic at home. I tell you what I said all year. Arkansas was fantastic. They were 30-3 at home this year, and Arkansas did not win a road series. And the point that I made at the time LSU played them was, if the postseason was played at Baum Stadium, I'd pick Arkansas to win the national championship because they were dominant at home this year. They beat Florida in a series at Baum Stadium when Florida was going good. They just really struggled to win away from home. Arkansas did. So they were a national seed. They got to host regional, super regional round, and they've been awesome in Omaha. So good for them for playing great baseball right now. And I don't know anyone that said they expected LSU to sweep the 3-game series, but remember, a very average LSU team did beat Arkansas 2 out of 3 at the box this year. So I mean, that's valid. I mean, Arkansas had their issues away from home this year. They're playing good baseball right now. Wanda Zachary, good morning. Corey Kaye, good morning. QB battle, who starts versus the Canes? It's got to be Joe Burrow. I'd be stunned if it was anybody else. Christopher Johnson, Pelicans free agency. Hey, man, we are, let's see, today is the 27th. You have 4 days till July 1st till we start to find out. And Dell Dems has said it's going to be a very busy day, July the 1st. So my guess is they make a move on Boogie right off the bat, to make their decision if he's going to be in the boat or not. Because if he is, great. And if he's not, then you better hit the ground running to figure out what you're going to do. But my guess is they do get Boogie back. The bigger question, I think, is going to be Rondo, who I hope they get back as well. Michael Costello, Boudreaux is legit. Took it on vacation to Hilton Head last week. The rest of the family loved it. Thank you, Michael. Very kind of you to say. Appreciate that. Ryan Broussard, good morning. Charlie Cavell, good morning. Joe Armato, it's all good, Joe. Don't worry about it, bro. Gabriel Agosta, good morning. And the interesting thing, Joe, is first you said sports reporter, and now you're saying announcer. So, big difference. Remember that, bro. I'm a radio host. I'm not a reporter. Pels need a shooter and Boogie. I would agree with you on a shooter for certain. Kind of love to see him be able to get a guy like Paul George. I just don't think it's going to happen. I tell you what, if LeBron stays in Cleveland, Paul George said he wanted to go with LeBron to LA. That seemed to be the feeling. If LeBron stays in Cleveland and George is available, I'd love to see that happen, man. If you can pry him away from Westbrook and OKC. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. Y'all get on to your day. I'll do the same. Appreciate Boudreaux. As always, check them out. If you haven't yet, follow them on all their social media. Please do that now. Hit the share button on this if you haven't done that. The likes as well. You look down at the bottom. They got the little blue thumb, the red heart. All those interactions and impressions help a bunch. So I'd appreciate it greatly. And as always, hashtag free Fulton. Let's get Christian Fulton eligible. It would help LSU tremendously. Meantime, y'all have a great day. Until tomorrow, we'll see you for Morning Scone. Later.